Here I am at my garden today. I need to do a quick check on the water because I don't think I came out yesterday because my back was kind of messed up. But let's go on in. It's looking kind of messy because I have some weeding to do and stuff, but it's going to get better soon. Okay, here's where we come in. Let me show you what the 2025 garden looks like. These are strawberries. I had a bed in the spring from strawberries I planted 1 or 2 years ago. They were completely compacted and full, so I dug all those out, separated them all, gave hundreds away, and just planted some in these beds. They take a while to come back. They get really dead looking and limp, and now they're nice and vibrant again, green, and just starting to produce some more strawberries. But by the beginning of next year, these beds will be practically full as well. They come back real quick. I'm not getting as many strawberries out of these beds as I am a little bed that I have. Okay, over here on the right, I am trying to grow extra greens for Skylar. He's been a big fan of taking salads to his work lunch. Most greens don't grow as well in the summer heat. So you see I'm using shade cloth, and I've been trying to plant things that are slightly more heat tolerant. This is chard, and it's just starting to come up good. I have tried probably 3 different kale seeds on this side, and just finally got some that are starting to sprout. So I'm going to cover this back up, and I will water that before I leave today. But it is tolerating this hot summer very well, so I'm excited about that. My next bed. This is asparagus. It doesn't really do anything this time of summer except make new seeds and just take up my bed space. These are my melons. I have 2 kinds growing. On each end, I have the ones called Tommy Apple. They're the best melon I've ever had in my life. They come out peach, and they kind of taste like a really juicy cantaloupe honeydew mixed. They are just the best melon ever. In the middle, after many years of trying and having birds eat them, I have planted Carolyn's favorite honeydew. She saved the seeds for me, and I've been actively trying to grow them ever since. And this is going to be the year. I can tell, because look at these things. Got a late start on everything in the garden this year, but these will still have plenty of hot weather to produce some melons. Okay, so this is my first bed. This was a bed of greens. I grow some Asian greens, some new ones that I haven't tried that are supposed to be good, and some old ones. And then I was trying to grow kale and everything for Skylar and my rhubarb. And as you can see, it's pretty sparse because a squirrel tunneled through from outside the garden back there. Tunneled through and ate everything almost. I don't know if you can see it. Look at these real close. These used to have big leaves on them, but they're all eaten down to nubs. And so I have some little kale coming in because I had the same problem over here with kale. Hopefully the squirrel stays out now that Rob has traps and stuff. But here's my rhubarb. I was very excited because all of my rhubarb died last year that I planted in the back of the garden. And then I must have stuck seeds or something in the end of this bed. This is where the strawberries were all compacted. And this year, in the spring, I noticed a little tiny rhubarb plant growing. So I moved it over a little, added another one, added some crowns and seeds, but they didn't seem to come up. And it's been doing really well, except for a little bit of bug damage. I had some aphids. I sprayed for that. I need to do it again. But then this down here, I murdered that because I fell in my garden a couple days ago. And this wood right here is right where I hit my face and my arm. And I killed my rhubarb. Oh yeah, and look, my foot just slid in that mud again. Just not as bad. Okay, this is my pepper bed. And I'm growing other things in it. I got these 2 Italian squash on each end. I forget the name of them right now, but I think it's the serpentine, something like a snake, because the squash grow very long like snakes. And I don't know if I have any squash coming yet, but the plant is doing really well. It's attaching itself to my shade cloth. But yeah, the plants look amazing, and I put one on each end of my pepper bed. And then there's a volunteer zinnia plant that popped up in my pepper bed. I can't talk right. There's some shishito peppers. If you look in there, you can see I got a lot more shishitos. I got a lot of jalapenos. I got some ones called Yellow Monster, which are a big yellow bell pepper. And then I have one called Big Jim, which is supposed to be a large-sized jalapeno. And then at the other end is my other squash plant, you can see. Oh, and then up the back of the trellis, I planted long beans, pole beans, which you can grow bush beans, which grow just like 1.5 feet tall in the ground, or you can grow pole beans, which climb up like a vine. And this particular variety are long ones, long purple ones. So the bean will be like 1.5 feet long, which that's pretty fun. Okay, so down the middle, I'm skipping around, but let's go back here. In my first bed in the middle, I have 3 kinds of squash. I have like a scallop over here, and it's just starting to produce. I notice it's slower than the others. Let's see. Oh, down there you can see a bunch of little squash starting. See those? I'm excited about that because they're good. And see, I got a bunch of ants, which means I probably have some aphids in this area because ants kill aphids. And then these are a round squash, and I've been harvesting some of those this week. They were one of my first squash I got this year. I just got my first squash last week, so I got several of those growing. And then over here is another Italian kind. It's a yellow one, and it's bumpy, and I just harvested my first one of those today. It's right here. That I was really excited for. I've been wanting to try that. Okay, so that's all squash. And then in this bigger bed, I have some onions growing around the edge, looking kind of rough, but they're doing good. Bunch of weeds in them. And then I mostly planted all my tomatoes from seeds myself, but then there was a plant sale at this nursery, so I bought these from them. And when I bought them, they were about 1.5 feet tall, and they have really done well without having shade cover most of the time. So they're ahead of my other tomatoes because they got a faster start. But I've had one tomato that I've picked, and I didn't eat it because it was kind of shriveled up, so I haven't really gotten my first tomato yet. But my guess is my first tomato is going to be from one of these 2 plants. See, there's one on each side of the trellis. And then here's a more elongated tomato, kind of like looks like paste tomatoes look like. Some of these that were cracking, which is probably from the weather being hot and then cooler, and me watering them too much. I'll pick the cracked ones off later. No sense putting energy into growing something that I'm not going to eat. Hey, and again, I don't know if you just saw my camera move, but I just stepped in the mud and slid again. The one that cracked my face. This is the same 3 squash, but look how differently they're doing. They're kind of pathetic. That one I replanted, and it's struggling to grow any bigger. This one is a zucchini. It's starting to grow zucchini, and that's actually where I've gotten 2 zucchini from so far. And here's another one of that long yellow one that I just harvested today. It's got some coming on, so that's cool. And here's my little strawberry bed. I thinned it out this year also, but it came back with a vengeance. And I've been trying to pick it like every day or every other day, and I get like a cup at least every day. And I've had some bug damage, so I try to keep it picked so they don't start running them. But yeah, look, there's a bunch in here. They just keep coming. See that? So I need to get those picked tonight. And then at the end, I got tomatillos. And down below them, I got a few peppers on each side, but they're really small. I bought those from that nursery also, but they haven't done as well. No, actually, I bought them from the school ag class. Okay, so let's look at my tomatoes. Behind the peppers, I have all my tomatoes under shade cloth. And I just started doing that like a couple years ago, and it really helps because otherwise the blossoms die. And if your blossoms die, then you have no tomatoes. On the end here, I have my yellow pear, which my sister Carolyn knows that they grow like crazy. And then I had some extra tomato plants, so I put some up in the corner and got me a tomato cage, even though I'm not a huge fan of tomato cages anymore. It works for what I need. These are onions. I had onions down along the front of both my tomato beds, and they seemed very popular with birds or squirrels. I don't know what, but something ate them all. So I've just got random ones. So there's a corner tomato, another one. There's one I planted from seed. Here's some more. This one's got some tomatoes on too, so that's good. Some more. It's kind of big when it goes all the way up to the top already. Like I say, I started everything a little bit later, but then I also, last time I was in Arizona, I came back and pruned these down so much just because they needed it, so that delayed them a little bit as well. But we still have lots of summer, so I think I'm still going to get plenty of tomatoes. I've planted a bunch of random stuff in here too, like some beans to fill up space. So I've got a few beans. Got some weeds. That's a weed. Here we go. Let's go around and go to the back row of tomatoes. I have 2 full rows of tomatoes. These are the 2 other ones that I bought from Home Depot. I didn't know they were little dwarf ones, but they've had tomatoes on them for quite a while, but they weren't turning orange. And then all of a sudden, just on the last day, bam, there they are. There's one that was just a trimming off my tomatoes when I pruned them. I put it in water and rooted it, and I'm growing it now. Here's my beans. Beans are doing well on this row. I also tucked in basil various places. There's a little basil starting. More tomatoes. More. No fruit on those, but they do have blossoms, so this one has a little bit of fruit. Where is it? I can't see it through the camera. There we go. More. And then again, I took some at the end of this row too. I actually have a few sitting on my kitchen counter that I took from trimmings that are all rooted and big, and I need to find a spot for them. Okay, so back here, I stuck a bunch of onions in. I've never planted onions before except for a walking onion, so this is pretty cool. And then that's some basil. That's dark opal basil. I like to grow it for pollinators and just let it go to seed so it flowers up. So here's something I'm really excited about. Cucumbers, because I have not had a good cucumber year for years. And then I've got marigolds in the front, but they haven't flowered yet, but they are growing nice. So that's exciting. Yeah, my cucumbers. And you can see on some of them, they're just starting to get little cucumbers. So I want those to hurry up. I'm excited. Let me turn on some extra water for them. Over here, same, another row of cucumbers. Marigolds in front. Look, here's an actual China jade, or another, I had another long cucumber variety, but this one's growing fast, so I'll actually have a cucumber soon. Then here, this bed has been through it. It was green beans, and the birds were eating all of them to start, and I've replanted, and it looks like they're still eating all of them, because just now I see all of my little ones are missing again. That's getting old. I'm gonna have to cover that again. And then down here, that's all green beans too. I'm not sure why they're leaving these alone, but they are. And then this, what is this? I forget, something with an A. I planted it for the first time. Amaranth. Yeah, I planted that for the first time this year. And then this is zinnias. And usually I get those started in like March, and they'd all be flowering by now. But like I said, everything was late. I just had so much weeding to do and dirt to move into the beds. So that's mostly it. These are 4 beds with arches that we're not using this year because of they had weeds so bad in them, these strangle weeds, that Rob just covered them up and said let the sun bake them for this season. I do miss having the arches because I'll grow beans and squash over them and it looks so cool. And here is some blueberries that I have not decided where to plant yet, but I've been keeping them in the shade a little and watering them. And that is it. Here's my table I work on. Got a bunch of supplies and stuff, just a mess. But then Rob put up a canopy for me because I'm not good in the heat. So there you go. That's today. I'll show you my progress later when we start producing some good tomatoes and stuff. Bye for now.